So what am I doing with basic cooking vegetable oil? How does that retain to RV maintenance? Well, one thing that I like to do, and I do this about twice a year, and especially for you guys that have this style window, these either dual pane windows, the frameless windows, the ones that open up like this, these are known to really stick. They can stick really bad, and they can pull that gasket right off if you don't oil them up once in a while. And this is something you definitely want to do before you put your RV in storage for a while. And that's where this RV is going. This is the RV that we've been staying in temporarily. I'm getting ready to put it in storage. So I want to go ahead and get these windows oiled up so that when someone goes to open them 3, 4, 5 months from now, they're not going to stick. Because I'm sure some of you out there have, like, it's been a while since you opened one of these windows. You go to crank it open with the knob, and it is just super hard to break that seal and get it open. And sometimes, like I said, it'll even damage the rubber gasket. So I usually use 3M light oil. That's one of the few oils I carry around. That's great for this job and a lot of other things around the RV. But I wanted to show you this because sometimes when I don't have any, like right now, just common vegetable oil will work in a pinch. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're talking about basic RV routine maintenance that most people either forget to do or sometimes we just don't want to. We're not getting into the big stuff today. We're not doing bearings. We're not doing like resealing roofs, things like that. I have plenty of videos where you guys can go check out those videos and those big projects. This is going to be small little things, just some good upkeep to do around the RV. So let's go ahead and get to it. Now, we said today's video is all about easier maintenance projects, right? We're not getting into anything too hard, too extreme, too difficult. And normally this would have been a difficult process, but now it's very easy. And what I'm talking about is sanitizing my freshwater tank and all of my city water lines, hot and cold. Now, as a full-time RVer, this used to be a difficult process of using bleach and letting it soak overnight in the freshwater tank, letting it soak in all the water lines, letting it soak in the water hose, then flushing it out the next day. This was quite a process, especially when you live in the RV. And you don't always get the exact ratio of bleach to water correct. It can leave kind of a bleachy aftertaste even after you rinsed it out numerous times. And it's not the best thing for, plastic piping, PEX. Will it work? Yes. Here is the solution, and this is what makes it such an easy maintenance thing that we do once to twice a year. And I'm down here because this is my new coach, and I need to actually sanitize the whole system before we start drinking out of it. With the Blue Technology water filtration system, we drink straight from our freshwater tank, drink straight from city water, some of the best filtered water you can get. And that's why I use Blue Technology's bleach-free liquid sanitizing packs. Now, these things are great, okay? If you're doing this once or twice a year, depending on the size tank you have, it's only going to take 1 or 2 packets. All you have to do is basically pour these into your either water hose, take your filter out of the last stage of your canister, whatever it may be, and then turn the water on. This sanitizes on contact. You go turn all the faucets on inside and leave them on for about 10 or 15 minutes until you start to see it foam up. After it's done foaming, everything has basically been sanitized. All the water has been run through. Same thing for your fresh water tank. Go ahead and fill it up, get it sanitized, turn on your pump, and flush all those lines through. Again, this takes 10, 15 minutes. Guys, does it cost a little bit more than just cheap bleach? Yes. But if you're doing this once, maybe twice a year, I think a few extra bucks for these packets and actual knowing that you're getting safe, real sanitized freshwater tank and lines versus just using bleach. And again, I actually used to be a kitchen manager with Outback Steakhouse for 10 years, a long time ago. And this is the same food grade sanitizer that we would use to clean everything in the restaurants, the counters, the kitchens, the knives. We didn't use soap, we didn't use bleach, we didn't use like vinegar. We use this basic, same exact sanitizing solution to keep everything back there sanitized. It sanitizes again on contact. Listen, I have 2 videos. I want you to go check them out down below. We have the system where I used to use bleach, and I'll show you the process if you still want to do that and how long it takes, and it's more difficult. And then I'll also have a link to this video where I use the Blue Technology bleach-free sanitizing packets, and you can see how quick and easy and safe it is. So your decision. I just like to put both options out there for everybody. This is what I'm going to do on my new coach, and I'm actually getting ready to do that later today. And by the way, we will have a link down below for anything Blue Technology, and you'll save 7% off on these or anything else. They're awesome water hoses or water filtration systems, anything like that. But you guys have to actually use the link down below, and then the 7% should show up during checkout. If not, contact me and I'll help you through the process of getting that link to work. So, okay, next up on the list, I recommend popping these screens off on the vent max air fans right here. Kitchen, bathrooms, these need to be cleaned with hot water. You can also just vacuum them if you want. I do that a lot of times, makes it quicker. But you want to get up here and not only clean these screens, but you want to kind of wipe down this fan. It's going to build up a lot of dust and dirt that's going to start slowing it down. Clean the lid of the opening vent cover right there, and then we're going to jump on the roof, and I'm going to show you a few things that I do up inside here that's just a little bit easier access as far as lubing up that arm and things like that. You guys can see just how dirty they get up there, and that can definitely slow down these motors and eventually kind of bind them up. So yeah, just recommend just wiping them down with just a wet cloth and paper towel. Now you can do this from inside sometimes, or sometimes it's just easier to get up on the roof and do this. Before we even get into lubing some of these parts in the fan, I like to come up here and give this a good cleaning on the outside, the inside. If you have the Max Air covers right here, clean those out, clean the screens out. Get a lot of cobwebs and nasty stuff. So that's just something I like to do. It's also something I like to do when I'm actually cleaning the RV, cleaning the roof. Now, let's go ahead and zoom in here and I'll show you what I kind of like to lube up in here. Different style vent fans, different style mechanisms. This is the motorized lid. The one in the bathroom has the crank handle, which is going to have like one metal piece that opens it up. I like to lube that one with the Bosch T9. We'll do that from inside. Guys, the only thing I pretty much use nowadays for almost all my RV maintenance is Bosch T9 rust corrosion protection, waterproof lubrication. If you haven't seen my channel, this stuff is great for almost anything you can do around the RV. And we'll have some links down below to some videos where you can learn all about this stuff and see all the applications I use it on around my RV. It's great because you can break down to pretty much one product and not have to carry so many maintenance products, so many lubes and oils and all that kind of stuff. You can see on this one the different style arm. So I'm going to lube up in here, then I'm going to lube down here, and keep all of that nice and lubed so it's easier to operate. As you can see, it's pretty dirty up here. This isn't my RV. If you guys watch my channel, you know things would be a lot cleaner than this. My Solitude everything was pretty much spotless. But we're getting ready to put this one back in storage. It's my in-laws. We stayed in it temporary. So normally I would also recommend cleaning all this down, and you can see some of this sealant is getting really old and bad, and we're not going to get into that today. Numerous videos on sealant, how to seal the camper, what to do on the roof, how we like to use Eternabond tape on the roof. I even got a new video coming up with a RV technician, Dustin Simpson. We're going to get more into like roof lap sealants versus Eternabond tape and that whole dispute. But you can go check out those videos down below, and we'll have some of the Eternabond video right here if you want to click on that and go see how I actually like to seal up my roof. But again, we're going to keep this video to just basic, easier maintenance things that sometimes we just overlook or forget, and save those big projects for their own videos. And guys, since I'm already in the bathroom right now, two things I like to do every once in a while is you want to go ahead and lube up the flapper if you have this style toilet. Go ahead and shut your water off. If you have a connection behind the toilet, shut that off, or go ahead and shut the water off outside so you can actually hold this pedal down and hold the pedal down and just get you some basic like plumber's putty, plumber's grease, I guess plumber's grease, and you want to just get some on your fingers, use a glove, and you want to go ahead and get that O-ring and that flange and everything lubed up real nice so that doesn't dry out and it keeps working nice and smooth. And while I'm down here and I have this flap opened up, something I do probably honestly once a year is get a toilet brush. This is a nice one, so I'm not gonna use this one. I usually go to just like the dollar store, get a cheap throwaway toilet brush. Usually has a decent long handle, and I'll go ahead and spray cleaner on the pipe going down, and I'll scrub it real good. Make sure you do not drop it down the pipe. So take precautions for that. But that's when I'll go ahead and clean that pipe going down as far as I can. That just gets really nasty. It can actually cause some odors itself. So a good tip there to go ahead and knock that out about once a year, and then I just throw that toilet brush away. The last thing that I like to do in the bathroom, and again, this is just a once a year thing, it's pretty easy, and I do it in the kitchen as well, anywhere you have a sink, I actually go ahead and take my P-traps off and clean them out. Over time, they can build up a pretty nasty sludge inside of them, pretty gunky. Just take a paper towel and run it through there, spray some cleaner in there, get them all nice and cleaned out, because that's another area that you may start building up a smell and odor. You think it's coming from your gray tank, but it's actually just coming right here from your P-trap with some pretty nasty stuff in it, hair and all kind of stuff. So go ahead, it just simply unscrews 2 spots, very quick, very easy to take off, get those cleaned up. The next maintenance item you guys want to check on is for anybody who has any kind of hydraulic systems on their fifth wheels, travel trailers, whatever the case may be, even Class A's. If you have a hydraulic reservoir, go ahead and check that fluid level. Now the key is you have to check that level with all the slide outs in and all the jacks up. That's the only time that the fluid gets pushed back into the reservoir. You want to check that fill line. You want to make sure it's pretty close to the top. Over time, you'll have seepage just naturally occurs, especially around the jacks, and you may lose some hydraulic fluid. This happened to us after 6 years, and what happened was we were on a site where we extended our legs extremely far. When we went to go put the slide outs in, my slide outs would not go in. We have a whole video right here on how, we basically solved that tip. What we had to do was essentially go ahead and hook up to the truck, retract the landing gear so that that hydraulic fluid would go back into the tank and the lines, thus forth giving us more hydraulic fluid to bring the slide outs in. The slide outs wouldn't come in because there wasn't enough hydraulic fluid, because it was all getting used to put the jacks a lot further down. After I had put everything in, I realized that my hydraulic reservoir was getting pretty low. All you have to do is add some automatic transmission fluid, and go check out that video if you want to find more tips on how all that works, the correct fluid to use and all that kind of stuff. But it's something we don't usually think about until it's too late, like it was for us. Moving day, couldn't get the slide outs in, and it was kind of an easy fix once we figured it out. Something else that I do twice a year, and I just did this because, well, we just had daylight savings time, and that's when I tried to do it like most people, like they usually recommend, and that is check to change out your batteries and your smoke alarms and all of those systems. Check your carbon monoxide, propane, whatever you have. We have different style alarms in these RVs. Some are combo units, some are hardwired in. You don't have to worry about those, but I like to go ahead and change out the 9-volt battery twice a year, usually on the whole daylight savings thing. Since we just had that happen, I went ahead and changed these out, and I also just changed them out in my new RV, just not knowing how old the batteries are. It's not something you should play around with. Safety is always key. Former firefighter, take it from me. So it's something I always like to do. And if you have them, and you should, test your fire extinguishers as well. It takes 2 seconds. Push down on the green button, make sure it pops back up, and check the dates, make sure everything is not expired. And if you do have one of the hardwired carbon monoxide / propane alarms, and I'll get down here and I'll show you mine right here in this camper. This one's still good for a few more years. In our 2008 Solitude, I actually just recently replaced it. They are only good for 5 years. It'll start to chirp. You know it's going bad. It has a set timer in it. 5 years, it's going to beep until you basically replace it. You will have to pull that out, usually clip the wires and rewire a new one in. They're hardwired into the camper, but that's not something you want to play with. Definitely recommend getting that done and fixing that if it's going off. Also, we like to carry a spare. We have a second one that we put in the RV, a second carbon monoxide reader as well. Just a good rule of thumb right there. Now guys, we were talking Bosch Shield T9 earlier for all things dry lube, all kind of things you can use in your RV, but it's also a great rust and corrosion protection. And I want to be down here on this camper because I want to show you what a frame looks like that has not been treated whatsoever. Now this is only about 4 years old, and you can see all the rust building up on this frame. It's looking really bad. This camper has never been, nothing's ever been used like this on it before. In fact, nothing's been used on it before. We're going to cut away to some video of my Solitude, and I'm going to show you what my frame looked like after 6 years of living in it and using Bosch Shield T9 to constantly keep the frame and any metal on it from rusting. And again, look at the difference. It's night and day between the two. You want to protect all the metal on your RV, and that's where this Bosch Shield T9 comes in. It's awesome stuff. We'll have links down on Amazon where you can get this. as well as anything we talk about today. Amazon links down below if you want to get some of these products. But I am a high believer in Bosch Shield T9 and taking care of this rust. So again, can't speak highly enough about this. It's a quick process of doing this. And that video will also be linked down below, where you can get into the details of how I like to use it on my frame, as well as all my metal components around the RV. Now, next up, something you'll have to do a few times a year, depending on what style refrigerator you have in your RV. If you guys have a absorption style refrigerator and freezer, you will have to defrost the freezer. And a quick tip, as you can see, we have plastic cutting boards on the back wall right here. And what's great about that is the plastic cutting boards, when all that ice builds up back there, you can simply just pull on them. It'll snap the back of the ice off really easy. You can pull it off in chunks and just get rid of it. No using dryers, which can possibly damage something, or heat guns, or opening the freezer, waiting for it to thaw. And that's just a big tip, something you want to get done all the time. It also keeps the freezer and everything working more efficiently as well. Another maintenance item that's easily overlooked are these electric fireplaces that most of us have in our RVs right now. One thing I would recommend doing is going ahead and getting behind here. Whether you have a pull-out drawer, sometimes it's just 4 simple screws. We used to do this in our Solitude at least once a year. Pull out the fireplace, get back there with the vacuum, clean the top vent, get all the dust, check the wiring, make sure nothing looks like it's burning or melting. Many times we've seen stories where these things have caused fires. If you can get ahead of that, if you can kind of inspect some of the wires back there and see if anything's looking off, like it's getting too hot or melting, that's a good sign that you need to obviously replace something or check on something. But I do like to go ahead and get back there and vacuum and get all the dust that gets caught up into the vent fans and all that kind of stuff. So just a nice little tip right there. So just to finish up with a few more tips. One is to get in the back of your fridge, absorption style fridge again, open those up and check back there. Link to that video below as well. I don't want to get into the whole process, and that's what I'm going to touch base on right now. Just a few more things you can do. And again, if you don't know how to check this out, there's a click in the video description below, and that's where you can find all of our links, and you can find links to the products and the other videos I'm going to put down there so you can find out how to kind of like do all of these projects. Change out the anode rod if you have an anode rod in your water heater. That's a pretty simple process. We have a link to that video as well. And then you want to do your rubber slide out seals with some sort of UV protection on most styles anyways. If you have some of the newer rigs, they're pretty much UV resistant, but I always like to use Aerospace 303 in the past on my old rubber seals to keep those from deteriorating. And the last one is, this is a good time of the year to also clean up your electrical connections, your 50 amp, 30 amp cords, all the dog bones, the connections. You can use basically Bosch Shield T9 for that. Again, it's safe on all electrical connections. Get those cleaned up, and again, one more link down below for that video for the whole process. Guys, these are just some basic RV maintenance things I usually like to get done once or twice a year, depending on these things. A lot of times we forget about them. A lot of times we just don't want to do them. But for the most part, these are pretty easy projects to get done. As always, guys, appreciate you stopping by and watching, and we'll see you next week.